One Piece this year has had a tremendous run, and with a break this week and the year wrapping up, I thought it was a great opportunity to talk about the top 5 best chapters that came out this year, so let's get started. And as all ranking video goes, these are all opinion based, these are my top 5, so if you don't agree or if you agree, let me know in the comments if I missed any chapters and how you feel about the chapters that I bring up. And we're going to start from number 5 and go down. So at number 5, we have chapter 1163, Promises. This is the chapter following 1162, obviously, where Saturn has been fused with Emu now, and we get the towering figure of Emu over Saturn's body. And, great people, the great legends of the One Piece series, Roger and Garp start recognizing and realizing this monstrosity within the world, and they start getting the idea of such a thing even existing. Rock stands on business and confronts Emu in this chapter. We get an insane moment where we get a reveal that Captain John had the Jiki no Mi, which makes so much sense because the reason why Captain John's treasure exists is because this man has been running around these islands and collecting treasure from them with Kid's fruit. So the predecessor of Kid was Captain John. Captain John's a better user of the fruit at this point, in my opinion, but that was great to see, obviously. We get the crazy Big Mom, Kaido, Whitebeard, Rocks, Roger, and Garp combo attack against the Emu and Saturn fusion, which we know did barely any damage, but it was amazing to see these great pirates just come together and do this one massive attack against Emu. And then we get some cool imagery of Emu, the way it was warping and reconstructing itself. Just that pillar of Emu that was above Saturn. It was just, the way Oda drew it was it was sick. It was so sick. And then, Shanks finding the chest, he was able to, crawl into the chest is when Roger finds Shanks. And then the chapter ends with, obviously, the devastating moment where Rocks gets Dami Reversi. This was a great chapter and phenomenal. So, number 5, we have chapter 1163. Next, at number 4, I have chapter 1167, Ida's Sons. This is one that I was actually able to review on this channel, so this is actually pretty exciting for me, at least, to be able to discuss a chapter that I was able to actually talk about. And this is the chapter in which, we get the aftermath of the Rocks Pirates, seeing how after Rocks' death, what the Rocks Pirates ended up doing. Roger becomes the king of the pirates and stuff like that. But then, then we get into the whole thing about Harold being part of the government. And, this is where we learn about the covenants. And the covenant system now is such a huge part of what we understand in One Piece and what we're looking for within these characters like Holy Knights and Shanks and stuff. So just amazing stuff that we got the covenant situation brought up to us. And then we get to witness Fisher Tiger's escape and rescue of, Marijois. And we get to see how Shanks was involved in it. And Shanks was someone who actually assisted Fisher Tiger's escape and rescue. So great stuff there. The Shanks and Shamrock aura panel where they're just both standing and they're walking down some Greek style. I don't even know how to describe it, but that even that area they're in, right? I forgot the name of it, but it's Shangri something. But that location that they're in the Holy Land, it's so beautiful to even look at. And you get these two amazing characters that look. Shanks' design is always cool, and seeing Shanks with long hair is just even cooler in Shamrock, and then the drip that they're wearing is so sick. So just a phenomenal panel that was filled with aura that I discussed in the chapter review on my channel. And then obviously the big point of this chapter was the Ida's son moment where Ida is now sick and they're trying to figure out why she's sick. And then Loki goes to his actual biological mother's hometown and finds out that they poisoned her, and Loki just ruins that town and takes down that town. And he's just saying Ida's gonna be fine, right? She's the only mother I had. And that's where I started my whole thing of Loki for Straw Hat, because that was the moment that connected me to Loki the most. I was like, wow, this is a phenomenal character. Loki by design was always cool, but we had yet to get the emotional attachment to him, and this was it here. So love that so much. Just a great chapter overall. Chapter 1166, Ida's Son, at number 4. And now we're in the top 3. And these top 3 chapters this year were some of the best stuff that I've seen from One Piece. And it was so phenomenal to see. And at number 3, we have chapter 1155, The Rocks Pirates. This is the start of the Rocks Pirates flashback segment within the Loki flashback. Just like how we had the Odin flashback and we transformed it into a Roger flashback. This was phenomenal. Previous chapter 1154 is when we finally got the face reveal of Rox and the whole Blackbeard's father thing. But now we actually get the chapter where the Rox flashback starts. And this flashback, as we all know, was phenomenal. But this chapter alone brought some of the best stuff from the flashback off the rip. So we have that insane panel, one of the best panels ever, where we started being like, this man Rox has a different level of aura. And it was when he was in the flower chamber with Emu, posted up on him. How did he even get there? And just threatens Emu, saying, I will be back. Who, just from that moment, we're like, oh, this guy's different. This guy, like, we knew Roger, we knew Whitebeard. We have not known someone that pulls up on Emu and escapes calmly. He had aura in that panel. It was insane. And then, this just goes on to him escaping, and then that amazing clash he has with Harold. The start of the friendship, which is also such a tragic friendship that, just requires a different discussion. But the friendship between Harold and Rox is very complicated and very deep, but it was a really good friendship, and this is where it starts. So that was great to see. We got the reveal of Rox's bounty poster, which looks like Buggy's bounty poster, which was crazy. We get the relevancy of Davy back fights again, and we get to see all the Rox pirates and the crew members and their names and all these legendary figures that we've known before. And then, finally we get the moment where Loki is admiring Rox. So just all in all, phenomenal stuff that happened and amazing stuff that happened. And just witnessing Rox do stuff and be relevant was the actual similar feeling that I had when we got Odin and then we got to see Roger becoming relevant. It was just, I can't believe this is happening. So number 3, 1155, the Rox Pirates. And coming in at number 2, people might question why this isn't number 1, but if you know why it's not number 1. We have chapter 1159, the Island of Fates. This is the start of the God Valley incident, a moment in which we as One Piece fans thought we would never get at this point, given the many opportunities Oda had to show us and dodged it, and we just assumed it would become a movie at that point. And then, the movie obviously never happened up until now. Hopefully it does, but we'll see about that. But, now it was finally the start of God Valley. And even then we were questioning, is Oda actually going to continue with this, or is he going to cut this off here? But he actually continued with it, but that's not this chapter. This chapter was the start of the God Valley incident. And this would have been my number 1 chapter if the number 1 never existed this year. We get the whole moments with Shaki has been taken, which causes the God Valley incident for it to be what it is, with the Roger Pirates showing up and Rock showing up and all these, and then Garp showing up because Roger shows up. Just Shaki alone being the reason why God Valley is as insane as it is was such a cool moment to see, and it was such a crazy thing to even be like, wow, that was the reason. It was just great. And then we get, the Garling moment where he actually kills the mother of his children, of Shamrock and Shanks, after she gives birth to Shamrock and Shanks, which is crazy. We get the witnessing of Dragon in the Navy. Finally, the reveal. We knew he was in the Navy given that Kuma flashback, but we actually get to see him in the Navy, and the stuff that comes after with it was amazing. Dragon just being put here has grown Dragon's character for the fan base so much, and seeing him here was amazing. We got to see young Morgans, Ivankov, Ginny, and Kuma, and how this leads into the God Valley incident. We get the reveal of Rox's real name. And this is one of the bigger moments of the chapter, right? Where his name is actually Davy D. Xebec, which also goes along with Blackbeard's name, not being Marshall D. Teach or Rox D. Teach, but actually Davy D. Teach. And this is just such an amazing moment because we also get a reveal that there was a legendary pirate by the name of Davy D. Jones. And it just opens up so many different things within the One Piece world. And, fan of Pirates of the Caribbean, I can't think of anyone else of Davy Jones as, maybe an octopus fishman, but we have yet to see where that goes. And then, we get the reveal that Rox's home was God Valley. I mean, this is something that came out of nowhere to me. I didn't even think this was a possibility. But the fact that his home was God Valley was such a whoa moment for me. And then the fact that the lines we get from him after that is when I started realizing, wow, Rox is a character that I I would like, this man is the GOAT, right? He had aura, but there's moments in which like characters are cool and characters can be strong, but you need that personal connection. You need that, like, what is your motto? What is your goal? The reason why we love Luffy so much is because of what he lives for. Just not because he's cool and stuff or funny and stuff, but because of the character he is, the personality he puts on. And Rox has been shown as a villain to us this entire time, and we see some stuff within the Rox flashback up until now, and we were like, this guy's kind of like, he's kind of a bad person, but he's not doing anything crazy that a pirate wouldn't do. But this is the moment where we get his line where he says, "As long as my wife and kid escape, I don't care about the rest. Whoever's side fortune is on, Harold, it doesn't feel like mine." This part was where I was like, dude, Rox is an amazing character. This man actually cared about his wife and kid. He was not the villain that the government made him out to be. He was actually a family man, and it was the best moment for me. I just love that. It connected me with Rock so much more, and just a phenomenal moment. And then, just the God Valley stuff starts. Dragon finds Shanks and Shamrock's mother, and Shanks and Shamrock's himself. And then we see a baby Blackbeard with his mother in God Valley. Just amazing moments. Chapter 1159, The Island of Fates at number 2. Phenomenal chapter. And we're finally at the number 1 chapter of the year, and potentially the number 1 chapter of the year for many people, and that is chapter 1138, The Harley. This chapter, it starts off with some cool stuff with Shamrock's attack with the Cerberus sword. We get some convos of Luffy and the Giants and the entrance of the castle. Luffy realizing that there may be a brother of Shanks, which was actually a pretty good plot point for Luffy to be aware of, so that's great. And then this is where it starts, right? The discussion of the mural with Ripley and Frankie, and then Robin and Saul discussing the Harley. And as Robin reads out loud what the Harley is, or reads the script of the Harley, we see Frankie's expression as he's looking at the mural, and in the background, we get the doom, 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 the drums of liberation as we flip the page and we get the insane mural with the Harley text above it. This is something that the One Piece community has kept talking about for this whole time, talked about it when it came out, still talks about, and will continue to talk about until the series is over. The what this chapter did to us was so much. It gave us so much and opened up so much. There's 3 worlds in One Piece now. We assumed, we didn't even consider them like worlds, but we assumed there was 2 eras, right? Luffy's moment and then the Joy Boy moment. But now it opens up a new thing where there was a 3rd world, and that 3rd world is probably Mika's world, right? So the Sun God, the original, in the 1st world, then we get the Sun God of the 2nd world, which is Joy Boy, and potentially the Sun God of the 3rd world, which is Luffy. And just the fact that there's different interpretations of the Sun God with the God of liberation, the God of laughter, the God of destruction. Like, which Sun God is going to be which one? Which one is Luffy going to be? Which one is Joy Boy going to be? And which one's Nika going to be? And we can have theories on it, but at the end of the day, you can make a excuse for any of them, or a reasoning for any of them. You can say Luffy can become the God of destruction of the Sun God script because of the fact that he's going to destroy Fishman Island. There's so much to it, and it's amazing how much Oda was able to give us within just 2 panels of a drawing and just a script. And the way Oda did the panel 2 was amazing. The books being shown as the Harley is written in the worlds, and we get that amazing mural, and so much is happening in that mural that I can go on for hours and hours discussing that whole panel. It was just such a beautiful moment, and mark my words, I'll say it once and I'll say it again, that chapter will not be stopped talking about, and that panel alone will not be stopped talking about until One Piece is over and we have all answers, and then we'll make the connections. Just a phenomenal chapter, wonderful chapter. It's a panel that does the heavy lifting for the chapter, but that panel, it should go to show how amazing that panel was and what that panel did for the community. Amazing stuff. One of the best chapters in One Piece, period. Like, top 10 chapters in One Piece, top 5 chapters in One Piece, the Harley's there, and it's a contender for top 2 or top 3. Who knows? That has to be a discussion, but it was such an insane panel. And there you have it. That is the top 5 chapters of the year for me personally. If I forgot any or missed any, please let me know in the comments down below. If you agree with what I said and have comments on what I said, comment those down below as well. I know this video is longer than I usually do, and it kind of has to be given that it's a top 5 video, but I'm trying to keep it as short as possible. So thank you for sticking with the video, and I hope you guys did enjoy the top 5. But yeah, such a wonderful year for One Piece, and I hope that next year we get more chapters like this that make us so passionate about One Piece, especially like the Harley chapter. That I mean, that's a lot to ask for to get a Harley level panel from Oda, but it's possible, right? One Piece is coming to an end, and given what Oda said with his message this year, we might get something like that. I mean, One Piece isn't coming to an end, but relatively, we're in the final saga. So yeah, I mean, like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys in the next video.